Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we're going to be going over another one of these discussion style videos, getting ready for the 2021 season, talking about another roster, another position for a team. Today, obviously, we're talking about the top lane for Cloud9. As you can see on the screen, I didn't know which shoulder it was over. We're going to be talking about whether or not Cloud9 is going to be better off without Licorice, because this is a topic that I've seen a lot of people debating about in this preseason and in this offseason, because Licorice was once like a former MVP candidate for Cloud9, at times considered to be the best top laner in North America, but he has been a little bit shaky in the past, and he's coming off maybe not the best or most consistent ending to the summer split and to the summer playoffs, and now they have Fudge coming in, and some people are thinking Fudge is going to be able to come in and be better than Licorice right away, and that Cloud9 is going to be better overall. So in this video today, I'm going to be giving all my thoughts and opinions, and hopefully be getting the thoughts and opinions from you guys as well. But before we get into that, I just want to mention a quick word from today's sponsor, which is DraftBuff. This is a fantasy esports website and app where you can build a fantasy team of the best players in esports. Obviously, esports and fantasy seem to go perfectly together because fantasy is this awesome, super huge deal that a ton of people love for traditional sports. So putting that together for esports is awesome. And I've already done a draft on DraftBuff, and the draft goes so smooth. The website and the app are all really clean. It was honestly really fast, really easy, really fun. And I'm super excited to be playing some fantasy esports on DraftBuff in this upcoming season, and I hope you guys are too. If you do decide to get signed up for DraftBuff, which the link's going to be in the description and the pinned comment on this video, make sure you use code IAMGERM. I would appreciate it a ton, and so would they. Special thank you to DraftBuff for sponsoring all my LCS content this month. With that being said, here we go, talking about Cloud9 headed into the 2021 season. Again, we're talking about Licorice, we're talking about Fudge. What is going to happen? Is Cloud9 going to be better off? Obviously, they had some other moves and stuff, so it's not just directly, is Cloud9 going to be a better team? Because the biggest thing happening here is perks in the mid lane. The biggest difference between Cloud9 from 2020 to 2021, even a bigger difference in the top lane. Even if Fudge doesn't end up being that good, I think perks is going to be that big of an upgrade over Niski. But there is some question marks about the top lane, obviously, and there's definitely something going to be going on here. I think the first thing to talk about is just the age of these two players. Licorice, again, he's been amazing. He's been a former MVP candidate. He has been one of the best top laners in North America, and at times the best top laner in North America. But again, a little bit shaky, hasn't looked the best internationally, and hasn't been the most consistent in North America either. He is 23, and Fudge is just 18 years old. We've seen him at international competition a little bit, Worlds play-ins in 2019, I believe, and he didn't look that great either. But again, he was just 17 then, he's 18 now. He was absolutely dominant in the academy last split, and now he has a chance to come into North America with all this kind of hype and promise and stuff, and he has 5 years to really develop into the player that Licorice is now, and they're already, in my opinion, in the opinion of a lot of other people, so close that we definitely think in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years that Fudge should be able to close this gap between him and Licorice, because he is this young upcoming talent with a ton of hype behind him. But obviously, a big part of the decision to go from Licorice to Fudge was that Licorice was going to have a pretty insane buyout, because he is a resident player in North America. He is a very talented one, and there was a ton of teams that were interested in his services. We don't know exactly what the final buyout number was, but for a while, there were rumors of over $1 million. And then obviously we know Cloud9 spent however many million dollars on perks, so getting that money from Licorice was definitely a big factor in being able to sign perks, and a big factor in getting rid of Licorice. Just because they got rid of Licorice doesn't necessarily mean that Cloud9 thinks Fudge is an immediate upgrade over Licorice. Obviously, they see something in him. They think he's very promising. They think he's very talented. But even if they thought he was worse than Licorice coming into this season, being able to get perks also played a factor into the situation. So I see a lot of people maybe incorrectly saying, Cloud9 is an awesome scout of talent. They got rid of Licorice. They must think Fudge is awesome. They must think Fudge is better than him. Not necessarily, because again, that money, those money talks, those millions of dollars played a part in this deal. So Cloud9 could believe that Licorice is a better player heading into the 2021 season and still have gotten rid of him just for the opportunity to get perks who could potentially take their team to the next level. So Cloud9 might think Fudge is better than Licorice, but I would not say that they necessarily have to just because they are deciding to replace Fudge with Licorice. So I want people to keep that in mind a little bit, because it is a big ask. of a player to go from academy straight into the LCS and become one of the best top laners in the league, because again, that is what Licorice has been. So anyone thinking that Fudge is going to be better than Licorice right away, especially like in the lock-in tournament, especially in like spring split, that is a big ask. It is possible, and if Fudge does that, man, I would be amazed. I would be so hyped up and excited for this guy, because that would be crazy, unless Licorice just falls off a cliff. If Licorice just comes out and kind of sucks, playing on FlyQuest, new team, new organization, he didn't end the last year that good. If he comes out and he's just not that good and Fudge is better than him, that wouldn't be as surprising. But if Licorice looks like Licorice of maybe spring split and Fudge is still, right there with him, that would be crazy for an 18-year-old guy to just come into the LCS and be that dominant. That would be exciting. That would be awesome. So I want people to temper their expectations a little bit. Cloud9 does not necessarily have to believe that Fudge is going to be better than Licorice right away. Now, they could definitely, and they probably do think that Fudge has a chance to be better than Licorice in the next 1, 2, 3 years. But again, that money definitely played a part in all this. So now I want to take a look at some stats and stuff that we can kind of break down and kind of make this comparison maybe a little bit easier. This is the website that gives all the LOL esports stats. We have the World Championship 2018. This is where Cloud9 actually made a little run, made it to the semifinals at Worlds. This is where Cloud9 really kind of shocked and surprised a bunch of people with Licorice in the top lane. And as we can see, Licorice did not have that great of stats at this tournament. In terms of KDA, he was not too terrible. He was towards the bottom, but he was all right. He did not have a ton of kills. He had kind of a ton of deaths. His KDA wasn't great. His damage per minute was honestly pretty middling, which is good. That's not terrible. There was a lot of great top laners at this tournament. You see the Shy, Whippo, Soaz, Wonder, Someday, a ton of awesome guys. Keen as well. There's also Smeb, guys that he's above, Ray, Cabochard, Impact, Duke, all kinds of names. Obviously, this is the World Championship. This is where you're going to get the best of the best. Licorice was there in terms of DPM, but when we look at some of his laning stats, that's where stuff really doesn't get good. He was the second worst in terms of gold differential at 15, fourth worst in terms of CSD at 15, and second to last in terms of XP differential at 15. So he definitely had some things to be desired, some things to be improved. In terms of his laning stats, he was not great at this World Championships. And this is with even Cloud9 winning a lot of games, again, making it to the semifinals at Worlds. So this was not too great of a showing from Licorice. He showed he had promise. He showed, he got to play against some of the best people in the world. He could stand toe-to-toe with them at times. But again, most lanes he was coming out behind. He was not coming out with leads, and this was just not too exciting. It was not too great of a showing, especially with how good he had looked in North America at times. Then we fast forward to the World Championship 2019, where we have Licorice back once again, and we kind of see some similar things from him. He has the lowest, this time Cloud9 does not do as well, which does influence his stats a little bit. He has the worst KDA of all top laners at the World Championships. In terms of damage, he is towards the bottom again, and then we see some of the same things again in terms of gold difference at 15. He is second to last. CSD at 15 is a little bit higher, pretty middle of the pack there. It's not too terrible, but again, average of -4 at 15. Then we have XP differential where he is second to last. So again, another year at Worlds, another year in international competition, the same story for Licorice. He is coming out of lanes constantly behind. He's okay in terms of damage, not great, but kind of, bad, pretty, not super bad, but bad in terms of like damage per minute and stuff. But that can be greatly affected by what kind of champions and how your team's playstyle is and all that stuff. But again, coming out of lanes behind most of the time, not looking great. Looked pretty good in North America, looked like one of the better top lanes, but never able to quite kind of push it to the next level in terms of international competition, whether Cloud9 was doing well at that World, whether they were doing not so well at that World. So I could see why somebody, especially a team like Cloud9, who went out and got perks and is now looking to take that next step, that next level up in terms of international competition. They want to make it out of groups. We haven't had a North American team make it out of groups in the last 2 years, I believe. This team is trying to do something. And while Licorice has been good and even great at times in North America, he's left some stuff to be desired in terms of just his international performances. So I could see why they would maybe want to move on from him again, especially when you have an up-and-coming 18-year-old guy who looks like he's an absolute beast dominating your academy scene. But we see Fudge, he did play with Mammoth at the World Championship play-ins for 2019. He did not make it to the main stage. And again, we see some of the same issues here with him. In terms of KDA, Fudge was towards the bottom, and this is even in the play-ins where you're going to see a little bit lower quality and caliber of laner and stuff. But there was big names at this still: Nuggery, Huni, Vizicachi. There was some good players at this, but Fudge did not really shine as highly In terms of KDA, one of the lower guys. Damage per minute, again, one of the lower guys. And he has very, very similar issues in lane where he has huge gold differences at 15, huge CSD differences at 15, and huge experience differentials at 15 as well. But the thing is, this is Fudge as a 17-year-old. That was Licorice as, I want to say, a 20 and 21-year-old. A little bit older, a little bit more experience, and also looking really, really good in North America, but not being able to translate it to the international stage. Maybe just not being good enough for the international stage. So maybe taking this chance on Fudge, who seems to be showing some promise. And when we've seen him in international competition, they've looked similarly as bad, but one guy a lot younger, a lot more room to develop, a lot more inexperienced, where Licorice has maybe gotten a few years under his belt. And again, bad performance in 2018, bad performance in 2019, not even making it to Worlds in 2020, which it wasn't all his fault. You know, Cloud9's collapse was not all to be blamed on Licorice, but he was certainly part of it. So, I mean, that's what we're looking at there, just in terms of the stats and everything that we've seen from international competition from both of these guys. Again, a big difference is you are getting a player 5 years younger, a guy who's looked really, really hot in Academy. He's one of the most hyped up-and-coming prospects. And again, people are really, really excited. People are saying this is the number. If you were to take any player out of Academy, this is the guy you want. That's why he's gotten a spot on a very, very top-tier team in North America like Cloud9, a team that has a ton of expectations, a team that's going to have a ton of pressure on them. They went and got perks. They're spending millions of dollars on this team, and they're here to win. So, in the end, is Cloud9 going to be better without Licorice? I think, honestly, I think it's worth the risk. Again, it's hard to tell without seeing Fudge play at the highest level of competition. We haven't seen him in the LCS. We haven't seen him much internationally, but he's growing, he's aging, he's continuing to get experience. You know, his Academy head coach is now his head coach with the Cloud9 team. He obviously has a relationship with him. He's gotten to see him play a bunch. He obviously believes in him enough to have the top lane spot. So in the end, I guess I would say that Cloud9 should probably be better off without Licorice, even though that is, again, it's going to be big shoes to fill. It's going to be a tough guy to replace, and there's going to be a ton of pressure and expectations on Fudge because Cloud9 is a crazy, crazy fan base. They are very, very passionate. They have a ton of fans, and they want to win. You know, they didn't make it to Worlds last year, and they're ready to go. They got their man in the mid lane in Perks. They have this all-star team surrounding them of really, really awesome players, an MVP in Blabber, a very, very tough bot lane in Sven and Vulcan, and they're tired of losing. You know, they got their championship last year, but now they want some international success, and it's going to start at this lock-in tournament. We're going to see how this all goes down. We're going to see Fudge thrown in there against the best of the best top laners in North America right away, and it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. But again, I think making this move definitely did make a lot of sense because they're trying to take another step internationally. Even if Fudge doesn't pan out, I think it's worth the risk because Licorice has showed twice now, and maybe even 3 times if you count last year, that maybe he's just not cut out for that style of team. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. What do you think about this situation? Do you think Licorice is going to be better in 2021? Do you think Fudge is going to be better? Do you think Cloud9 is going to be better off in the long run with Fudge without Licorice? I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe to update on my latest content. Remember to check out DraftBuff. Hopefully I catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace!